What's going on, y'all? It's SK13. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a very fantastic day as usual. Today, I'm gonna need you guys' help, so make sure to comment down below on your answer to this question. When you're braking while you're riding a motorcycle, are you using 2 fingers or 4? So the question kind of came from, me and my friend kind of talking about what people like to do. Of course, the way if you took the MSF course or any sort of beginner rider motorcycle course, they'll always teach you to brake with 4 fingers. But is that what people actually do in reality? That's what we're trying to kind of figure out. So 4 fingers is the way the MSF teaches you, right? It definitely has its pros. First one being max braking force is applied with 4 fingers. Why? Because physics, my guy. The most leverage you have for pulling a lever is the point that is furthest from the connection point. Here's a diagram from Google, your best friend. I hope it makes sense. Think of it like using a breaker bar that you use to loosen tight bolts when you're working on your car or whatever it may be. You have more rotational force when you push or pull from the end of the bar. So that's pro number 1. Pro number 2 is that you avoid potentially crushing your own fingers. If you brake hard, all of a sudden with 2 fingers and the other 2 fingers are still wrapped around the throttle, if you brake really hard, there's a chance that you may crush those 2 fingers that are wrapped around the throttle hand. So braking with 4 fingers, you avoid this. Your right hand controls your throttle and brakes, so when you brake with all 4 fingers, it allows for rolling off the throttle, aka there's a separation of the 2 tasks, which can be deemed, safer in a sense. The next is you avoid unintentional simultaneous throttle application and braking error if you use all 4 fingers. So pretty much related to the previous separation of the 2 tasks. Overall, I'd say the main reason the course teaches you to use 4 fingers is to basically separate the brake and throttle function to teach you to control both separately. Of course, there are cons of the 4-finger method, so higher chance of grabbing a fistful of brake on accident, aka panic braking, and then separation of acceleration and braking means that it limits your ability to be as smooth. So a more advanced riding technique that people say is trail braking. So this definitely would make it harder to trail brake. Next, we have the 2-finger method. That's the way I brake most of the time. So pros wise, modern brakes are definitely strong and you have much more accurate control with your index and middle finger, right? Avoid grabbing too much brake on accident, another pro. Next, we have the better braking control. When you have better braking control, your riding is smoother and less jerky. Braking with 2 fingers also allows for 2 fingers to remain on the throttle for smooth rolling on and off. I have been, I really found this to be extremely helpful for stop and go traffic. You can definitely practice and implement trail braking whenever you're ready, since it is a more advanced technique, but using the 2-finger method for braking, it allows for that smooth transition so that you're actually able to do trail braking in the first place. The cons, they're pretty much the pros for why you would want to use 4 fingers. Alright, here's a clip of me braking hard on my RS 660 with just 2 fingers. The skeptics might say that I'm actually not braking hard, but that is definitely not the case. Check out my speed when I start braking and see how long it takes until I fully slow down to be able to pull off the road safely. Doesn't take very long. Another indicator of hard braking in that clip is the fact that my emergency or hazard lights turned on. Confused? I would be too. Let me enlighten you. So the RS 660 has a feature that when you brake hard to stop quickly, it automatically turns on the hazard and emergency lights. It's a pretty nifty feature. But you have to be braking hard enough in the sense that, say something, suddenly pops up in front of you, something jumps out on the road, you need to be able to stop quickly. That's why Aprilia has put this feature into the RS 660. But anyways, how do you get around the pros of using the 4-finger method if you want to use 2 fingers, right? If you get adjustable brake levers, you can adjust so that the max braking is achieved before pulling the levers too far and avoid crushing your fingers. While max braking is applied with 4 fingers, do you realistically need max braking when modern brakes have stronger bites compared to before? Outside of specific situations in certain scenarios, I don't think so. If you practice situational awareness and riding like you're invisible, I feel like you'll be fine. If you need max braking, majority of the braking is done with your index and middle finger anyways, so you can start the movement with 2 fingers and then progressively add on the other 2 when you need to. The key is always slow, progressive braking. Simultaneous throttle and braking at the same time is something that has happened to me, but practice makes perfect. What I basically did to maintain throttle with different hand positions was, I would practice by pinching the throttle in place with both my index finger and thumb, and then just holding it together there. Then I would practice, holding the throttle in place with just my palm. So basically maintaining throttle, maintaining speed, while holding the throttle with my fingers and, thumbs open, and then just holding the positioning with the palm. Then I'd kind of rotate and use the outside of my palm, etc., etc. This allowed me to get a much better feel for my throttle. At the end of the day, it's, to be honest, just personal preference. But I think in the long run, practicing with 2 fingers and improving control of braking and throttle is the safer way to go. So, do you guys use 2 fingers or 4 fingers when you're braking? Comment down below. It'd be interesting to hear how others go about it and just to hear other people's perspective on this. It's not something that I've really seen people talk about, but I've seen a lot of people do 2 fingers, and for sure I took the course and I know that's what they teach you to use 4. So would be interesting to see your thoughts. Alright y'all, as always, thumbs if you enjoyed it, subs if you loved it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.